Ever thought you were too smart to fall for tourist scams? Think again. Port days are like a feeding frenzy for scammers who've turned separating tourists from their money into an art form. They know exactly when cruise ships dock, they know passengers only have a few hours on shore, and they're counting on you to make rushed decisions with your guard down. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Even seasoned travelers get taken for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars in a single port stop. And the cruise lines? They'll shrug their shoulders and remind you that once you step off that gangway, you're on your own. No refunds, no protection, no sympathy. Today we're exposing the 11 most devastating port day scams that tourists fall for over and over again. These aren't just petty pickpocket tricks. We're talking elaborate cons that can drain your bank account, steal your identity, and turn your dream vacation into a financial nightmare. From fake police officers demanding bribes to counterfeit excursion operators who vanish with your deposit, these scammers have perfected their craft on millions of unsuspecting cruise passengers. Whether you're stepping off in Cozumel, Barcelona, or the Caribbean for the first time, or you think you've seen it all after dozens of cruises, this video will open your eyes to dangers you never saw coming. Because the smartest travelers aren't the ones who avoid getting scammed by accident. They're the ones who know exactly what to watch for before they even set foot on shore. Let's dive in and make sure your next port day doesn't become a cautionary tale. Number 1. The fake taxi meter scam. Picture this. You step off the ship, excited to explore, and immediately a friendly driver approaches offering rides around the city. The taxi looks legitimate, the driver seems honest, and the meter is running just like it should be. Perfect, right? Dead wrong. Here's how this scam destroys your budget. That meter has been tampered with to run at triple or quadruple the normal rate. What should be a $10 ride to the main shopping district suddenly costs $60. And when you question it, the driver acts shocked and points to the official-looking meter as proof. But it gets worse. Some drivers use a double meter system. They show you one rate when you get in, then mysteriously switch to a different, much higher rate during the ride. By the time you realize what's happening, you're miles from the ship with limited options and a ticking clock. The most devious version involves drivers who claim their meter is broken and offer a flat rate that sounds reasonable. Except that flat rate is still 3 times what locals pay, and you have no way of knowing until it's too late. Pro move. Always negotiate and agree on the exact fare before getting in any taxi. Take a photo of the rate card if there is one. And here's the insider secret most tourists never learn. Walk a few blocks away from the cruise terminal before hailing a taxi. The drivers who wait right at the ship exit are almost always the most expensive because they know you're desperate and pressed for time. Number 2, the friendship bracelet trap. This one preys on your politeness and catches even the most cautious travelers off guard. You're strolling through a market or walking along the waterfront when a friendly local approaches with beautiful handmade bracelets. They seem genuinely interested in chatting about your cruise, your home country, maybe even compliment your family. Then comes the killer move. They offer to tie a bracelet around your wrist as a gesture of friendship. It's free, they insist, just a welcome gift to their beautiful country. The moment that bracelet touches your skin, you're trapped. Here's the psychology behind this scam. Once something is physically on your body, your brain treats it differently. You feel a sense of ownership and obligation. The scammer knows this and immediately starts demanding payment. Not just $1 or $2. We're talking $20, $30, even $50 for a bracelet that costs them pennies to make. When you try to remove it or refuse to pay, they create a scene. They might grab your arm, follow you down the street, or even call over accomplices who surround you demanding money. Suddenly, your peaceful port day has turned into a confrontation with multiple people in a foreign country where you don't speak the language. The most sophisticated version involves children. Parents send kids as young as 5 or 6 to approach tourists because most people can't bring themselves to be rude to a child. The kids are trained to be persistent, emotional, and manipulative. They'll cry, beg, or even claim they need money for food or school. Never let anyone put anything on your body, no matter how innocent it seems. Keep your hands firmly by your sides and say no thank you while walking away. Don't engage in conversation, don't explain why you're not interested, and definitely don't feel guilty about it. Number 3, the currency exchange con. Money-changing scams are everywhere in tourist ports, but they've evolved far beyond simple short-changing. These modern cons are mathematically complex and psychologically manipulative. Here's how the basic version works. You approach what looks like a legitimate currency exchange booth. The rates posted seem fair, maybe even generous. But when they calculate your exchange, they use sleight of hand, confusing math, or distraction techniques to shortchange you by significant amounts. The advanced version is truly diabolical. They quote you an excellent rate that's genuinely better than banks or official exchanges. You hand over your dollars, and they start counting out local currency. But halfway through the counting, they create a distraction. Maybe someone asks them a question, or they claim to have made an error and need to recount. During this distraction, they palm some of your money or switch your bills for smaller denominations. When they finish the recount, you've lost anywhere from 20 to 50% of your money, but the sleight of hand was so smooth you don't realize it until much later. The most dangerous version targets large bills. You hand over a $100 bill, and through various distractions and recounts, they swap it for a $20 while making you think you miscounted your original money. Here's what makes the scam so effective. The math is genuinely confusing when you're dealing with unfamiliar currency and exchange rates. Your brain is already working overtime trying to calculate values, making it easier for scammers to manipulate the numbers. Only exchange money at banks, hotels, or verified currency exchanges inside major shopping centers. Never exchange money on the street, at market stalls, or with individuals who approach you. And always count your money twice before walking away from any exchange. Number 4, the fake police checkpoint. This scam is absolutely terrifying because it exploits your natural instinct to cooperate with law enforcement. You're walking through what seems like a normal area when official-looking officers stop you and demand to see your passport and money. They claim there's been a problem with counterfeit currency in the area and they need to inspect your cash for authenticity. Or they say there's been reports of tourists carrying illegal substances and they need to search your belongings. The uniforms look real, the badges seem authentic, and their authority feels legitimate. Here's where it gets truly scary. These fake officers will confiscate your money, claiming it needs to be tested or verified. They'll write you an official-looking receipt and tell you to return to retrieve your money later. Of course, when you return, they're gone, and so is your cash. The most sophisticated versions involve multiple fake officers, police vehicles that look authentic, and elaborate stories about ongoing investigations. They might even have fake documentation or official-looking stamps to make their authority seem unquestionable. Some versions of this scam involve accomplices who pose as other tourists getting searched, making the whole operation look routine and legitimate. You'll see other people complying, which makes you more likely to hand over your documents and cash without question. Real police officers will never ask you to hand over large amounts of cash for inspection, and they'll never ask you to leave and return later to retrieve confiscated items. If anyone claiming to be police approaches you, ask to see their identification, request to call your embassy, or insist on going to an actual police station. Legitimate officers won't object to these requests. Always keep copies of your passport and important documents separate from the originals. If someone demands to see your passport, show them the copy first. And here's a crucial tip most travelers miss. Real police interactions involve paperwork, official procedures, and usually happen at police stations, not random street corners. Number 5, the overpriced restaurant menu switch. You find a charming local restaurant with prices that seem reasonable posted outside. The waiter is friendly, the atmosphere is perfect, and you're excited to try authentic local cuisine. But when your bill arrives, you're staring at charges that are triple what you expected. Here's the sophisticated psychology behind the scam. Restaurants near cruise ports keep two sets of menus. The one displayed outside shows reasonable prices to lure you in. But once you're seated and comfortable, they bring you a different menu with inflated prices. Most tourists don't notice because they're not comparing line by line. The most devious version involves menus without prices at all. The waiter verbally quotes reasonable prices when you ask, but then charges completely different amounts on the final bill. When you question the charges, they claim you misunderstood or that prices have recently changed. Some restaurants take photos of the tourist menu off the table after you've ordered, replacing it with the local menu. If you try to dispute the charges by pointing to the menu, they'll show you the local version with higher prices and act confused about where you got your information. The psychological trap here is that once you've eaten the food, you feel obligated to pay whatever they charge. They're counting on your politeness and your reluctance to create a scene in a foreign country over what might seem like a misunderstanding. Always take a photo of the menu with your phone before ordering, especially the prices for items you're considering. Ask the waiter to write down the total cost of your order before the food arrives. And if there's any discrepancy on the bill, don't hesitate to point to your photo evidence. There you have it. 5 scams that have cost tourists millions of dollars and turned dream vacations into financial nightmares. The key to staying safe isn't paranoia. It's preparation and awareness. Now that you know what to watch for, you can enjoy your port days with confidence, knowing you won't become another victim of these elaborate cons.